Hello and welcome back to the DayLuna Human Design Podcast with your hosts, Dana and Shayna. Today is a big episode. We are finally talking about our Egypt trip and rehashing, re-experiencing, reliving, refeeling the experience and sharing the transmissions that we've received, but also um just some of the experiences on this journey because we've never done a retreat like this, as you probably know. This was a 2-week retreat journeying through Egypt. So it's not a typical retreat where you go to one location and then you're at that resort, for example, and you do everything there. You are moving from place to place, city to city, all throughout Egypt, and it's an expedition. So it was a wild ride, but also incredible. I feel blasted wide the fuck open. Get ready for lots of cussing. Just kidding. I should say that in general. That should be in our intro. Like, if you
Yeah,
don't like cussing, bye, bitch. Because it's just like we can't help it. It's just a way to express to put some
the
it's just
level of
I don't need to
excitement,
describe.
enthusiasm,
Yeah,
intensity we feel. Yeah, and I
yeah,
feel about this episode, honestly, I don't feel 100% ready to share yet because I feel like I would need an entire year to integrate to be
same.
100% ready to share. But I do feel really excited. Like we've given ourselves enough time where we're just like ready. And this could be a 3-part, a 4-part, a 100-part episode because there's so much to share. But
Literally.
definitely, I feel the same that coming home from this trip, this retreat has literally blown me wide open, blown Jared wide open, blown everyone else that we're connected to that we've checked in with. My sister came, her husband came, like checking in with them, like, how do you feel after this retreat? They're like, there's no comparison to my life before. Quantum moment on my journey, a quantum shift, like and that's so big that how do you even integrate that in a couple weeks in order to be able to share? But we also do know that every trip that we take, every retreat that we create in DayLuna, it's for not just the people who attend, but it is for our entire community and our podcast listeners as well. Like we know that so many of you listening that were not able to go on this one still feel very interconnected to connecting to Egypt's ancient wisdom, especially in this time. So we know that the things that we shared there need to be heard. They need to be shared because they're for all of us. And I'm sure that you listening are going to resonate with a lot of the messages that we received in our personal journeys being there. And then also in our DayLuna container, traveling through Egypt, connecting with that ancient wisdom, and then coming home on the other side, like ready to go. Rise of the Sleeping Phoenix. Like,
Mm,
let's kick it off, blast into outer space.
literally. And it's crazy because Dana and I have been not sharing with each other what
Ah,
our experiences were
because of
because
Shayna. She's so hardcore, you guys. She literally doesn't, this is real. She will not share the like deeper, we have like a little bit of an inkling, but we haven't shared the complete story to each other. And I've been dying to hear her experience and also
same.
to share mine with her. And she makes me wait until it's live on the air with you all
Yeah,
because
because I want
she's
the
that bitch.
genuine reactions and like sharing it in the moment. It's just there's nothing better. So that's I'm just excited to hear your experience. And yeah, I mean, first things first, I want to do more retreats. Like I thought that going into motherhood, I was going to slow down and I was going to ground home and I was going to, put off some things for a few years and that could not be further from what my experience is in my daily life. I literally I see us doing, 3 retreats a year and having one that is really focused on trainings, having one that's really focused on, journeying places like we just did in Egypt, and maybe one that's focused on really experiencing your design and more nurturing and restful, if you will, and yet expansive. And so if you're listening and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish that they'd have a retreat in this location, or I know an amazing retreat center in Greece or France or Ibiza or literally anywhere, please email us, DM us. Part of the biggest or the hardest part about planning a retreat is finding the right place, finding the right resort or location. So
Location.
I want to just put out to our amazing DayLuna listeners family vibe frequency that you're on here, that if something pops in for you, please open invitation to send it our way as we are expanding and growing, because I cannot be I cannot be held down. And that's something that I realized in Egypt that has definitely Egypt opened the doors for this realization for me. And I think that that's a big theme with this trip is feeling like Egypt helped get clear what is like a past life now to you, and what new life you're stepping into. And after getting those activations in those different sacred sites, those energy upgrades, coming home, it feels like this, okay, it's time to take action towards that new life. It's time to take action towards stepping through the door, the portal, the entryway into that new life, and leaving behind the things that are literally in a year from now, you're gonna be like, that feels like a past life. And so it got really, clear, and it's still getting clear. Like Dana said, we're gonna have so much clarity a year from now. We'll probably do another rehash, but, um, yeah, and one of the things is wanting to expand and travel more. So I'm even considering after this retreat, like we're thinking about moving to Europe in September and having more of a nomadic lifestyle. And that is something that I would have never thought that I would say going into motherhood. Like I thought, okay, I'm having a baby. I'm going to have a nursery and all of the things and make it all perfect. And I did. And now I'm like, okay, I want to go spend 2 months in France and 2 months in Greece and 2 months in this place in Italy and then go to Spain and go here and go there and let myself really expand in that way. So that's just a side note. I don't know where we want to begin, probably at the beginning. Um,
It's always a
but
good place to be in. Well,
yeah.
not really, because for me, something big about this trip was that the beginning happened for me 8 years ago.
Ugh,
Um,
okay.
or actually since the day I was born, the beginning happened for me of this trip. Before that
Yeah.
even,
Oh,
before I
yeah,
incarnated
in
into
your
this
past
lifetime.
lives. Yeah.
So I can't really start from the beginning, but yeah, I mean, going into the first days of like starting this retreat, you guys probably know from following us on Instagram that we went to Paris first, which was so beautiful and nourishing. And we ate croissants and we walked through the park and we were there together as a family. And Isla was loving her grass fed butter and bread life
Mm.
as my beautiful little baby niece that she is. I'm here for her life in Paris. It was really sweet. And it was also really interesting because, you know, I was there with my siblings and then my husband too. And we went to the Louvre and we were so drawn to all of the ancient Egyptian stuff in the Louvre. We could not separate ourselves from that. And we were like, we're in Europe. We need to go see all the European things, but we were just so drawn, completely magnetized to all of the ancient Egyptian stuff that was in the Louvre, which was so interesting because then we knew that we were going into this portal of leading up to Egypt. So I definitely felt, I've never felt more calm and surrendered going into a retreat, I would say. And for us, this being more of a travel experience than just, you know, than being in one location or teaching. You know, we were teaching about human design. We did learn a lot about our energy body and the things that we are healing, the shadows that we're rising into to be able to share our gifts. Like we did teach a lot actually in the booklets that we created. But this experience was really like surrender and go with it and be present. So coming into that, I just felt so ready, like so calm, so present. And arriving all together on the first day, it just felt so right. It felt like all of the stars aligned. I'm curious, did you feel that way going into this, that you've never been more just like surrendered, wide open, or how did you feel?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel that I was just in such a deep place of trust along the whole
Yeah,
journey planning this retreat. I kept
totally.
hearing like in my like I would literally have a thought like, should we do this? Should we do that? And I would or cancel this or change that. And I would literally hear in my head, you are being led. You are being led.
Yeah.
And that I mean, I feel like that sums up my experience going into and a lot of the um different experiences that we had is like, okay, can you be led? Like, can you as the leader be led? And how does that look? And how does that feel in your body? And I think since having Isla, um, like I just don't give a shit about small stuff anymore. Like I genuinely do
Yeah.
not feel stressed in my body about like anything. I'm like, is that because I'm depressed? I don't think so. But I feel like I just don't have any fucks to give. Like I just don't. And I think that shift happens for a lot of people after they give birth, but that's definitely something that I um allowed me to be more open to receive because I wasn't micromanaging the universe all the time. And I genuinely am like an unbothered queen right now in my life. That's the era I've entered. So yes, I as surrender has been the theme.
Yeah, and I agree that like we got called to Egypt so strongly and specifically in this time frame. It literally we've already said this beforehand, but it was like the universe told us, "Hey bitches, you're doing this. Are you going to be there for it? Are you going to show up?" And it was so clear to us that it was like, "Okay, yes, like all we have to do is show up, follow our authorities." Like we knew it was right. We knew the timing was very important and that it was a higher, more divinely orchestrated thing that we didn't have to even interfere with. And, for me, a big phrase that kept coming up beforehand was actually Moses parting the Red Seas and, that energy of like every obstacle moving out of the way when something is divinely led and divinely right for you. And so it definitely going into it too, I felt like, okay, I just trust and surrender that we don't have to micromanage anything and that all of the systems and all of the structure and all of the organization that we've done beforehand, the team that we've hired, the people that are here, like it's all meant to be. And so we can totally just allow. And we feel that way for every retreat, but I feel like it's been gathering and building over our journeys. Like we're getting better at connecting to that divine message and receiving it. And also, it's really cool because as the universe and the world, speeds up and changes and we get closer to this evolutionary process, it's really nice to feel that you truly are supported by divine beings that are higher or that have a better insight than you do in this human form. So it's like going into that trip, just being like, almost like this playfulness. I almost felt like cheeky about it, like, okay, universe, it's your job, not mine. And it was really fun to come into it with that mindset.
Yeah, I agree. And, getting into arriving in Egypt, going from Paris to Egypt, definitely a huge shift in energy you can feel like when you
Oh yeah.
land there and when you get there. And our logistics team were so incredible and they, picked everyone up from the airport. I mean, there's so many freaking details with 30 people traveling to
With
Egypt
3 bags and 10 different planes and different airlines and different
arriving at
layovers and
different times and
right.
having different preferences and different needs. Like, well, I need this and I need that and da 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 da. Like, there's so many things. And being able to have a team that could hold that all and really just like in real time, um, drop in and figure out what's needed. Like some people lost their bags, some people arrived really late and then they had to, just step off the plane and come right to our opening circle. And then we're off at 3 a.m. the next morning to go to Luxor. Like the beginning and the end of this trip, we knew and we explained to our group in the calls ahead of time that they were going to be crunch time. Like they were going to be uh less sleep, more travel because we have to fly to different places and to be able to get everything in 2 weeks that we really wanted to get in, that's how it had to be. I mean, you could honestly spend months in Egypt and still not feel rested and still
Mhm.
feel like you were rushing and cramming things in. There's just so much to see and we only scratched the surface. And so, um, you know, definitely it was interesting to see how everybody has and had their own initiations that they were meant to receive on this trip and their own
Yes.
wounds getting triggered, their own fears or shadows coming up, their own places that they are in their life, right? That they're navigating. And Egypt isn't like, oh, I see you're navigating this, so I'm just going to hold space for you. Like, no, Egypt is, oh, you're navigating this? All right, bitch, you asked to be here. Let's go. I'm going to shove you right where you need to be, and you're going to see if you step up
Absolutely.
to it. And
Mhm,
I would notice literally I the energy there is so condensed and potent that
mhm.
your intentions and your thoughts and your words are tested like immediately. I feel like normally in your regular life, you might say something like, I'm ready to move on from this past relationship that was toxic for me. And then it's like, okay, a few years like that, you look back and you're like, okay, now I feel like I really did close that chapter. But in Egypt, you say something like that, and it's like that
2
person
hours
texts
later.
you, calls you, like then you get like hit on by someone, and then like you are literally
Immediate test.
immediately tested.
And
And
like an obstacle course of life, like a little
yes,
curriculum that shows up that is very amplified, that has a lot of potency and it comes quick. So then you have to walk through the obstacle course for exactly what intention you just
and it's
created.
uncomfortable, right? It
Oh,
gets you
yeah.
out of your comfort zone. Growth requires you to be out of your comfort zone, and that was a little bit hard for me, as a retreat leader who I always think of every single detail and I anticipate every single experience as much as I can, and I hold that space and I try to nurture that. And it was, one of my intentions going into this was surrender, and I was literally being tested of like, can you surrender to letting people have their own be where they're at and have their own
Mhm,
tests and trials and triggers. And it was really interesting to see the themes of like some people, they always had some issue with their bags or with like losing something, and then it was like, oh my, I felt so bad, like, oh my gosh, I wish that I could just like magically find their bags and just like make it all happen, like give them every single item of clothing that I have, and like literally like, what can I do? And like, I kept hearing in my head all throughout this journey, "You are being led. Like, you asked to surrender. Are you gonna? Like, are you going to?" And so I had to just be like, "Okay, I'm surrendering. This is their initiation as what much as it is mine." And there were so many different things like that where we would say like, the whole group in the first circle, a lot of people's intention was like surrender, being open to receive, allowing, not micromanaging,
mhm.
releasing, and then we would have things come in like immediately, like, okay, here you go. Like, your toilet
Yep.
doesn't work tonight. And so are you really going to surrender, or are you going to like kick and scream and cry and fight and like literally feel like you might die? And then like magically the next morning your toilet's fixed and it's totally fine. And it was like, that didn't even happen. And so it's like being able to see that in real time of like physical life being so reactive to your energetic
Yes.
intentions, and
Right.
then you calling yourself out of being like, "Oh, am I doing that thing I said out loud with my words from like a very highest self intentional place?" When I'm not feeling my highest self because I'm exhausted and I'm haven't slept and I'm hungry and I wanna take a shower and I wanna take a shit and I can't because my toilet doesn't work, like, am I able to really walk the walk and not just, like, talk the talk? And it would happen in little moments like that, right? Like, that's not the whole theme of the trip. That's not,
Mhm.
like, the main experience, but it would be, like, little moments where it would just be like, "Boom, here's the test. Are you gonna walk through the
Yeah.
fire with your highest self, or are you gonna not?" And it's not a bad thing to not, it's just it was quick. So I noticed that so intensely in Egypt, and I was in awe and also like, "Holy shit. Okay, we're here and let's be here. Let's receive what we can."
And there was almost like 2 aspects of the trip for me. One was the traveling. in real moment, in real time. And then the other was the connection to the temples. And the connection to the temples felt timeless and infinite and ancient, like out of this time or something, like a portal to a different reality. And then the traveling was very much in this present moment, navigating like human plain stuff and everything that you're saying, that the land was so powerful. Like literally the second our plane touched down, we landed from Paris into Cairo. I felt my feet just tingling with this golden light. Like I almost couldn't walk on the ground because my feet were buzzing with this energy. It was just so potent. And so I feel like the travel that we experienced together, I mean, travel is always intense, and traveling in this environment was intense. And there was that energy that the land is so potent, that things are so amplified and so fast. You know, there's so much energy there that it's almost like the fast forward button. You're watching the VHS with the fast forward button on. And that's why those tests could come faster. Things could be amplified in a bigger way. So I really felt that the travel of this was like an initiation in and of itself. And then you had your experiences in the temple. Like that's so those two different things for me. But like we said in the beginning, this is our first retreat where we've ever been traveling like that. So it was really fascinating. And it was so cool to hear, like in our opening circle, how every single person who was there knew that they were meant to be there. Like almost every single person had this insane, incredible story filled with synchronicities and divine timing that gave me goosebumps down my spine. And once again, it brought me to the fact that, you know, we planned this retreat in a short amount of time, and it was a long retreat and an intensive travel, and you're signing up for this big journey. And it was like for the people who synchronistically and divine timing, they were meant to be there, the seas parted for them to be there. And that was another theme that I felt like, okay, we all showed up. Now the travel itself is, you know, part of our initiation. And then we get to experience the temples, which is a whole nother, like, how do we even begin to talk about that?
Yeah, I think we just let's start with
Rip the band-aid off.
yeah, I'm like well, so it's interesting, you know, getting into the temples. Um, I've been there before. And so I didn't know what my experience was going to, if it was going to be a similar experience, if I had experienced the same energies or the same, you know, frequencies or memories dropping in, and going on this trip with my, at the time, 8-month-old daughter. Um, was a totally different, but also was such a magical gift of an experience. And the first night when we first at our first hotel, the airport hotel, I had this experience where I was laying in bed and I was nursing Isla, and I the AC was blasting and it was so freezing cold. And then Brian turned on the heat, and I had this, like, I was like kind of drifting asleep. And then I had this panic go in my body of like, something toxic is pouring into this room. Like almost like this memory of being in a concentration camp and having like I felt this fear for my life in my body, and immediately was like, "Brian, you have to, like, they're pumping something into the room." I didn't realize it was coming from the heater. And I had this like, what, like I was looking up at the ceiling like, are there vents? Are there like something coming under the door? And then I realized like, oh, it's the heat. It's something, you know, in the furnace, maybe mold or maybe I don't know. And I felt my throat close up, and you know, we turned off the heat, we blasted the AC to like pump out whatever that was. And from that moment forward, my throat had issues the entire retreat, where I felt my throat was itchy, I was coughing, I like, you know, I lost my voice for a few days. And um I say that to highlight the contrast between fear and spirit. Like when we would get into like the first temple that we went to was actually, it's an Isis chapel. And this was one of my favorite experiences that we had. It's this small ISIS chapel off the beaten path. Not a lot of people go there. So we didn't have a private visit there, but we were the only ones there. And we got to sit in this room and we played the music that was um, on the walls in hieroglyphics were hymns that were etched into the walls. And some artist had put them to music that we could listen to. So we played that. And I didn't know what I was going to lead. I didn't know what I was going to um, say in meditation or in ceremony. We had some, rough ideas of like, okay, we want to do this, we want to do that. And we had some things planned out. But when I got there, I just felt called like Mo, our guide, Muhammad, Mo, like what is inscribed on these walls around us? And he said, oh, they're hymns. And so he got out the music and he played it. And then when I led the meditation, it was such a powerful meditation for myself and I think for everyone. And it was completely
Definitely.
channeled. It wasn't something that we planned to do. And my throat didn't bother me. Like literally, I forgot that I even had that issue. And so it was the first moment of like that fear of like, maybe remembering a past life, maybe something coming up for me to really look at and realize like my voice and my throat and the things that I manifest and channel and say cannot be controlled or contrived or twisted or affected. Like, and that trust of just being present and truly letting yourself be a channel, like it was just such a great lesson and reminder for me. And so once again, it was a theme of the physical versus the spiritual and the energetic and how they're separate, but then also like playing into each other and amplifying each other and then not yeah, but that temple for me or chapel, I want to say, was one of my favorite experiences. I didn't go to that one though last time, so it was completely new for me as well.
Yeah, that was so powerful in there. And a lot of people told me that it was one of their favorite things. And it was also like the first time as a group we were able to drop in on that deeper level into a spiritual place and like be able to experience that portal energy that a temple is. That allows you to transcend the physical and connect to something timeless and really divinely powerful. But yeah, that experience was really powerful for me. And then the next day we went to the Temple of Dendera, which the Isis Chapel was definitely my first time feeling like as a whole that we could tap in together and transport together to such a powerful place. And then the next day we went to Dendera, which as you probably it was the same day. It was later that day,
Yeah, sorry, my
which
my I was muted, but yeah.
everything that we did, we would do, 3 or 4 things and it felt like 3 or 4 days, but it was one day because
Literally.
we would wake up at 2 a.m. and then get to bed at 9 or whatever. But so for me, the days did not feel very linear.
Same.
It felt like all over the place. But going into Dendera was really interesting for me. Um, you know, Hathor has been calling me for years, years and years and years. And that is my initiation really into Egypt and to remembering and connecting to ancient Egyptian wisdom has been through Hathor, like her literally coming to me in all of these completely synchronistic ways, experiencing and connecting to her in breathwork visions, seeing her mother's milk come through the universe through star geometry and light, and hearing her song. Receiving her milk and support, like knowing that we are nourished and guided and led, seeing the Holy of Holies actually in Dendera in breathwork vision, seeing this like machine, energetic geometric machine that exists on a higher dimension that is there in the Holy of Holies of her temple, just guiding us and supporting us, almost being like a magnetic monopole for us as a collective, holding down that frequency and holding us into a frequency that's going to be healing and guiding for us. So all of that stuff leading up to it, I knew were already calling me. And then we get to Dendera and a series of events, a long drive. We weren't able to bring in all of the different tools or things that we wanted to bring in. Seeing it from the outside, it wasn't the most beautiful temple visually to me on the outside. So it was like all this lead up. And then I get there and I'm like, oh, maybe this won't be my favorite temple. Like, that's okay. One of my intentions here is to be completely receiving, like completely open, to set down my ego and to just be with a capital B. Like, that is how I know that I'm best of service. So I'm like, okay, if this isn't my favorite temple, great. Like, I'm here for surprise. And we're walking in, and I was thinking, processing that in my mind. And then we get inside of the temple, and the more that we walked into the center points, like every temple on the outside, where the outside gate is and things like that, it's more of like the external or the physical world. And the further deeper you get into the center point of the temple, closer to the Holy of Holies, represents that most sacred internal center part. So as we approached into that point, all of a sudden, my entire body was vibrating. My heart was pounding. Like, I literally just took ecstasy. Like, my heart was beating out of my body and I had all of this energy, just electricity. And I just felt so emotional, like overcome with elation, grief, like love, ecstasy, heightened, but also a sadness and like a homesickness that I just burst into tears. I was literally crying so hard. I was uncontrollably, like, I could not control my body. I was shaking and crying so hard. And we go down into this underground temple, and it just the feeling of like past lives and having been a priestess of sound there before, a priestess of astrology, and feeling like I am home. That energy like overcame me. And I feel like I just had to cry to release. I feel like I let go of something so powerful. And, it's a story that I feel like is almost like a broken record for me, but being a child and being a little alien baby starseed and feeling like I'm not home on planet Earth or I'm not home in society, I literally healed that and shed that in this underground temple
Wow.
there in Dendera. I have had dreams about that space literally since I was a child. There's a doorway that goes into the secret temple that's a door about really small. Like, you have to lay and squeeze through it. It's like 2 feet by 2 feet or something like that. And I have had dreams, visual dreams of this doorway and having to go through it over and over again, like for my whole life. So this is why I say I literally felt
Wow.
my whole life like had been leading to that moment that I needed to come back there to release that and to remember the words I kept hearing is like always home, always home. Like, you feel like you're not home, but literally you are always home. And I had to just put my hands down on the ground and like release that energy and my sweat and my tears and my like snot and all of it. And then as I came back up from underground of the Holy of Holies in that underground temple, I just felt so elevated and like I was literally floating on a cloud, and I just had so much clarity and purity and love and bliss and ecstasy. And then getting to sing together in the Holy of Holies, where I know I've had so many past lives before. That's literally the space that I had a dream about before we went, that I knew we would be there, of like us and these other goddesses like floating around this space and doing this energy grid work, and then getting to be there again, getting to release that. Like, I feel like I'm going to be integrating that release for the rest of my life, but I feel so much lighter. I literally feel like I put down the heaviest weight, and it's strengthened me so much, and it's brought so much love into my life. Like, I knew that that was something that been working on healing, but it was just crazy how I really feel like it happened in a quantum moment. And now all I need to do is continue to integrate, like continue to weave in that quantum shift, that quantum healing, that quantum release in my body.
Wow. It's crazy because one of the really interesting things about this trip is that we were not together for a lot of like, we were
Yeah,
together in ceremony, but then
right.
other than that, like, I was with Isla and Brian and Chrissy, Brian's sister, and Roxy, Brian's mom. And obviously I was with other guests too, but you were, with the guests and with your family that was there. And so we were going through the temples kind of separately. And
Mhm.
navigating this trip kind of separately. So we had 2 different experiences, but then we'd come together for ceremony, and so it's so interesting always because you and I are such yin and yang, and we're always in, like, these polar opposite places, and it brings a lot of balance, and our charts reflect that too, which is interesting, um but I saw you, when I think Isla was with Brian, and I went through the temples, the temple as well, but I was in a different place than you. You were already down underneath in this temple, and I saw you coming up, and I'm just gonna close my screen really fast. Isla is coming to nurse, of course. Hi, baby. And she knew I was talking about her, so she wanted to be on the call. Um, and so, you know, um, I was walking through this area, and I saw you coming out from underground, and you had just tears like flowing down your face, and you're like the only one that was having that. And I was just like, "Oh, this bitch, like, I know that something crazy, like, your energy looked so you were so shifted and in, like, an altered state
Yeah.
almost, and
Yeah,
I
definitely.
was I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear what that was," and so I go to, nurse Isla, like I'm doing now, and I go to the Holy of Holies. Nobody is around. It's just me and Isla. And we're sitting in this huge Holy of Holies room. And I nurse her. And I'm in like the temple that's for like literally the mother and like mother's milk. And and I'm sitting in there, and the sun is setting through the temple walls, and I'm looking around the space of all of the history and all of the years, and just having that moment to be with Isla and feed her from my body, it was such a sacrament, it felt like. Like, like when you're in, church or in religious or spiritual places, like you drink the wine or you eat the bread and you
Mhm.
have like a holy sacrament. It felt like my body was this vessel of holy sacrament, like feeding Isla
Mm.
my milk, or her milk, however you want to see that. And
Our milk.
our milk. And she's like trying to grab the microphone. And so it was so beautiful. And then everybody comes in. I just stay there, and they join in circle, and we do our ceremony, and it was so beautiful. And then we sing all together this channeled song that Dana and I both channeled, which that's a first.
Yeah, that
I
is a
like
first.
and it's interesting. Oh, she's just gonna be right in here. Um, it's interesting because I was nursing Isla when the lyrics for this song dropped in for me. Like, I was at home before this retreat, and I was laying there, and a lot of times I find when I'm nursing her, I get into this like theta state, and I have a lot of images drop in and a lot of memories and like different dimensions and timelines like kind of swirling. It's really crazy, and it's cool because Isla has a defined spleen. She's the only one in our household that does, and she has the most intuitive channel in the body graph, 57 to 20. And so I don't have consistent intuition, but she does. And so I receive a lot of times that intuition, like through her, like I'm amplifying it. And so when I was nursing Isla, and we're we're in that place, she's so sad to leave me. Um, And I'm, like, laying down. I literally hear these lyrics, like, drop into my field, and I get up from that session, and I text Dana, like, "I want a song that has these lyrics, that is not cheesy, that is not, like, um, you know, like, weird." Like, it's so hard to write a song that's not cheesy when it's, like, these lyrics, and so I'm like, "I don't know if we can, like how that can happen." And Dana then replies back like 2 days later with the music, with the like literally sends me the song. It's so incredible. It's so amazing. And I'm like shook. And so we send it to our group so that way we can learn it beforehand. And it was powerful because then we were all able to just really drop in when we're in ceremony and sing this song, which was a prayer for the world, right? I was noticing like as I was envisioning our ceremonies that so many of the songs that I could think of for us to use our voices together are I centered, like I am light or earth my body, like whatever, water my blood. And like, I am healed, I am present, like, I am here, right? That's all I centered, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I really wanted a prayer, an offering that we could give to the world that's like focused on the world's healing, our collective growth, our collective freedom. And so we had this song and we all sing it together in the Holy of Holies. And it's amazing. And then as we're getting up, we're going to go walk up to the roof and have a little ceremony up there underneath the moon. And one of our guests, Annalise, if you're listening, she like runs up to Dana and I and she's like, I just had a vision in that of us all singing this as we're walking through the halls and walking up to the roof. Like, is that possible? And you have to keep in mind that in Egypt, there's a lot of different um rules and staff and people working at these temples that are from different departments and are on different levels of conditioning and consciousness. So um you don't know what you're allowed to do. Like before every temple, we're like, okay, are we allowed to bring this in? Are we allowed to play music? Are we allowed to dance? And then in real time, our guide would be like, no, like if you play any music, play it really quietly. Or he'd be like, yeah, no, you're fine. I'm going to take them over here and we're going to talk or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, let me see if we're allowed to do that. Like it might freak them out. They might think that we're chanting and calling in spirits or something because apparently that's a big uh
Concern from
concern.
their perspective, yeah.
Yeah, and so, and and so we go up to Mo and we're like, "Can we sing as we walk up to the roof?" And he's like, "I think so, yeah." And so we all sing this song walking up this it's like a wide spiral
Like
upward
tunnel,
tunnel.
like, it was so
And
beautiful.
it was so
And
beautiful because Dana's standing right there. Like, I'm like, "Okay, Dana, you stand here and you sing to like get us all like on the like almost initiate
melody.
each person as they're walking through the entryway of this stairwell and all lead like singing. So I'll hold it, we're going to be really far apart. I'll hold the song, like keep it going. And so each person walked past Dana and like was initiated with this song and kept singing and I led us up and I could hear as I'm walking through just all of the voices. It sounded like 1,000 voices singing and echoing through the halls. And it was like a remembering of joy, of love, of beauty, of the sacredness of our feminine energy, but also of our voices, of our enoughness, like of your voice being enough to change the world, to heal people, to be worthy as an offering.
Our
And
mother's milk, our voice is our mother's milk too, is what I felt.
yes.
And I have past life memories of literally singing with other priestesses of sound through that hall in that exact same way and also playing the sistrum. So when she asked that, I was like, yes. Like we have, and then the fact that we were able to, and that it went like so off the cuff, like this is an organization of, you have to organize 30 people at different points. And somehow it all just flowed so beautifully and everyone's voice sounded like the most powerful prayer. And like you're
Oh,
saying, 1,000 voices that were like singing in a timeless,
yeah.
eternal, loving, divine feminine power. So power that it's exalted above
Mm,
all other blockages, above all other challenge, above all fear, above all hate, like literally above all of those things is how I felt.
yeah, I agree. And it felt like this call to at first that fear of like, oh, these guards are going to hear us singing, or,
Right.
oh, people are going to hear my voice singing, or like, is this allowed? Are we too loud? Are we too whatever? And then like stepping into it and committing to it, and then receiving like pushing past that comfort zone. And then what we got to receive on the other end of that was just so amazing
Pure
and
magic.
powerful. And so we
Yeah.
get up to this roof, and then we get to um dance and play
Under
music,
the
and that was once
starlight.
again initiation of like pushing past your comfort zone and just like closing your eyes or not, and like moving your body with like these very masculine guards like standing there not moving,
Right.
like arms
Right.
crossed like machine guns. And they're standing off to the side with our logistics guide and Egyptologist. And here we are, 30 women plus a few men, and we're like dancing barefoot and wildly on the roof of
And the
Dendera.
wind was blowing in this, like, literally felt like a mystical goddess dream where you're dancing on top of this beautifully lit rooftop under the night stars, like Hathors all around, the wind and the energy. And it was just like peak moment of my entire life. I
Yeah,
will
the
never forget how it
wind.
felt to have the wind in our hair, dancing up there, choosing that ecstatic state
Yeah,
together,
yeah, choosing the choice. And I think
choosing.
that's been a huge theme, is like you have a choice. And I think
Yep.
collectively, like it's a huge transmission that really came through of like, what is it that you're choosing? Like
Yep.
here, the universe is calling, your soul is calling, the opportunity is there. Are you choosing it? And
And once you've
some
chose it, when you show up to do it, are you still choosing it? Like the
yeah,
choice, you know what I mean? Like there's when people are watching you or when you're not sure how it's going to go, those are the times where we say, "Well, I made this choice, but now that I'm here, I just don't know about it." And you have to commit again to that choice in that moment, and truly then you can choose anything.
yes. Yes. Aho. Amen. Um, so then we end, right? And then it's like, okay, back to the bus. And it's like, oh,
And
what? I don't just exist
yeah,
as like a star seat on the roof with the wind.
this
I
is what
have
I'm
to
saying,
like
like,
get
then it's back to
into
the
the
travel.
bus.
Then it's, like,
Yep.
to the bus and, like, use the bathroom and, like, use the hand sanitizer and, like, get back to our thing, and we're gonna check out in the morning, so you're right back into you know how I was saying there's, like, the 2 aspects, the completely timeless, exalted temple experience, and then the travel, and to make that hard shift, you almost felt like it was just a dream that you experienced or something, but then the cool thing is you can come back to that frequency in the bus or washing your hands or, the little moments of the travel after that.
Yeah. And even just like closing your eyes and remembering the wind in your hair, like
Yeah,
instantly I'm back.
same.
Um, and upgraded, right? And not
Yeah,
even needing to understand the upgrades, but just receive them was really, really powerful. And so then
yeah.
the next morning at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., we go to Karnak. And Karnak's energy is so strong and huge. It's the largest temple in the world. And we arrive at night in darkness. And as we're walking to the temple, like Isla's asleep in my arms. And I'm I'm actually like nursing her, but she's like asleep, and I'm holding her. I have the like shawl over her, and I'm holding my baby as she's just like in and out of sleep nursing. And I'm walking through these massive, like you come upon Karnak in the dark, and the
And the call of
temple
prayer was
pillars,
happening,
the call to prayer is happening. The Quran is like like echoing through the air.
the air, hundreds of voices singing a prayer out at the same time in different times, and then we come into the entrance.
And it's these massive columns, like so huge that you can't capture them in photo. It's like trying to take a
No.
picture of the moon. Like you
Yeah.
just can't capture it. and
Absolutely.
they're so massive that it like takes your breath away. And we're walking in silence with that was part of our intention, you know, walking through these temples, especially the private temple visits, like really walking in silence and being there, taking it in, receiving. And so as we're walking through, I mean, holding her, I just had this remembrance of being being there as a priestess and or priest. Actually, I feel more like a priest because I really was connecting more with masculine energy lately, and seeing that in my past lives. And so it was just like, I don't know, it's so interesting. Like there were some temples in Egypt where I felt like I did not have children in the lifetime that I was here. And then there was others where I felt like I did. And Karnak was one of them, even though I feel like maybe I was a priest there, but maybe I was also like a woman with their child getting healing. Like I felt that feeling of like this feels right to be holding my baby through this temple. Like it feels safe, it feels grounded, it feels right. Like there's so hard
Mm,
to put words to it, but it was this sense of like, yes, in my body.
interesting. I felt as we were walking past those massive pillars as you enter in, literally the psychology of being so small next to these pillars that are so massive immediately made me feel like I'm walking with the gods. I'm walking with these divine presences that are so much greater than me that I felt safe. I felt humbled. I felt like I was in the presence of majesty and magnificence. And these columns are so tall, but they're also stacked, like kind of as far as your eye can see in these columns or these rows. And it reminded me of like the fractal nature of the universe, like visions that I've seen of higher planes, of these higher divine energies being fractal. And as far as you look, you're seeing that repeated pattern, that sacred geometry of life playing out. So I just had this feeling like you're with the divine, you're with the gods, and you are in the realm of the gods. So while I felt humble and small as a human, I also felt so blessed to always be like in the divine's presence and in within its guidance and being held, and it being endless and fractal and infinite in its size and its knowing, like that those words that we use when we talk about the divine, like omnipotent and omniscient, like those words were coming to mind, ever knowing, everlasting, like all of those feelings. And I felt, but I did not feel that I've had a past life there. Interesting. Like I could literally put my finger on, I had a past life here or not, in the place, each place that I went. The
Same.
second I stepped my
Same.
foot on the ground, or the second I walked into the doorway, I could literally tell you.
Yeah.
And that was a place that I do not feel like I had a past life that I studied there or went there for healing.
That's interesting because I feel at Dendera like I didn't have a past life there.
I've had
And
tons of lives there. Like it's my home, my first home on this
that's
planet. I feel like I
so
incarnated a
interesting.
few lifetimes in a row to be there. Like,
I feel like maybe I visited there,
uh-huh,
but like I wasn't like
your
I
home.
was my home. Yeah, yeah. And it feels like I could imagine myself having past lives there, but like it's not that knowingness that
Yeah.
I get like instantly, like you're talking
Yeah.
about at other places.
Yeah.
And at Karnak, it's that what you're talking about with the divine and like the omniscient, like the grandness, this the divinity. Um, that I just kept getting this sense of like, you belong here. Like, yes,
Mm,
the divinity, you belong in the divinity. Like,
you're
you
within it.
belong in the gods. Like, you are the
Right.
gods. And like
Totally.
the feeling of the gods don't the divinity doesn't exist without us, without the smallness of us. There is no bigness of
Mm,
that.
because it's a
And
fractal. I mean, we're the
yeah, like
same on
the smallness of
the
us is what makes
micro.
that big.
Totally.
And so I yeah, I had that feeling of like this is grand and like so worthy of you. And like you're so worthy of it. Like you belong. And then we get to Sekhmet and we're walking through this area where the moon is coming
And
through and it's like
and just the
so
energy
beautiful.
The energy as you're walking through this site is, I almost said it, I felt like it was like a augmented version of reality. The energy literally felt
Yeah.
like a different version of reality, a different energy than when you normally walk through a space. So palpable. Nighttime, moonlight, like hard to even explain, but it was like literally walking through a magic force field.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly what it felt like for me too. And we get to Sekhmet's, um, area
It's like a
and
small
like
little temple within Karnak.
yeah, like, this little chapel, this little room, and there's this really well preserved Sekhmet statue there, and we have plans to do a little ceremony in there, so we, um, we go in and we have people come in, 3 at a time to connect with Sekhmet's energy. And it's interesting because if we do another Egypt retreat and you're hearing this and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I need to go. I need to experience this. I need to be there." We might probably most likely are going to do another Egypt
Yeah,
retreat because
I
it's
really think we
just
might.
so powerful
Yeah.
and like you just it's impossible to just go once. But there's only so much we can share publicly and on the podcast or anywhere from these experiences because we're not allowed to. And so it's like literally only so much of our experience is only reserved for the people who attended and people who received it. So I just want to say that because if you're feeling called like there's so much that you're going to get to experience that you're only going to be able to share with spoken word with the people around you and that's it. But we go into Sekhmet's chapel area and we have people come in around like about 3 at a time. And Dana and we have like once again like a rough idea of like this is our intention and what we're going to really offer. But I feel like now after doing so many retreats and guiding so many ceremonies, like we are so tapped into each other that
Yeah.
and
We
like
can
to the
operate as
frequency.
one.
We can operate
Yeah,
as one
which is
and the
a really cool
frequency.
feeling. Yeah.
It's so
It
cool. It's like my favorite
it's so
feeling.
well, we have to be dropped in for it to happen. You know what I mean? Like, there's obviously moments in our lives where, like, I'm grocery shopping and you're at home working on something and you call me and I'm like, "I'm not tapped in right now. I'm at the grocery store." Like, there's moments in our lives like that.
Totally.
And then there's moments where you're in the right place at the right time in ceremony or in a group or, like, in this, thing that our authorities led us to. And it is, like, mind-blowing to me the way that we can tap in together as one and, like, almost, like, I wanna say telepathically communicate,
Yes,
where like
absolutely.
I'm not hearing your words, I'm just knowing. I'm knowing what you're, and then I know, and I can read when I'm gonna pause when you're gonna go. I can read what we're gonna do
Same.
next. I can, and
And I'm not
it's such a
trying. It's
cool,
just like
no, just
on the
happens.
same wavelength, on the same
Yeah.
yeah, telepathy,
And
honestly.
it's a really nice, it's a beautiful gift to get
It
to experience.
is. It
Mhm.
is. And also, I wanna say the 3rd energy that we're tapping in with is whatever ceremony or,
We're
frequency is around
channeling.
us, the sacredness of what we're channeling, and
And we're like showing up to be in service of that greater thing.
yes. Yes,
Like, what
exactly.
will you have us say? What will you have us do? How will you have us help facilitate this energy so that we can all experience it together?
Yes, and I think that we're really good at creating the container of, like, this is our intentions. We do the structure of, like, we're not just going into things and being like, "We have no plan." Like, we have
We have a, yeah,
structure and a vision, but
and
then
really
we create
strong
that
intentions.
yes, and then we create that space for flow, for sacredness, for channeling because we do that. And, somebody said to me on, in this retreat, like, that was a master class in holding space or like somebody also said like we're with the professionals like you guys are like guiding and holding this through and I was thinking like am I like is that do I because it's channeled right it's not something that
Yeah.
like and I have no awareness centers too huge blind spot G center projector but I'm like oh my gosh okay so anyways back to what happened we're in Sekhmet's chapel and Dana and I are both like tapped in. And the first group comes in and instantly like we have our first, thing that we invite people to just connect with Sekhmet's energy and then we ask them to release something that they want to like say out loud, something that they want to release. And we both of us like we chime and we do this music that like clears that, and then we have them like receive something from Sekhmet. And both of us like did these motions like almost like a dance in sync without ever talking about it, where we would like be standing and then we would instantly kneel, and then we would like step forward and then we would step back and then we would avert our eyes, and we just both instantly knew. And I then after that first group left, like I remember looking at you like, wow, like we are just so like I love you. Like I just remember thinking like I love you, I am you, we are like here we are. Let's like, and also this feeling of like
Same.
we are not here. Like we are facilitating, but like we are not here. Like this is Sekhmet, between Sekhmet and them. And this is
Yes.
not about us. This is not about our ego.
Same.
This is not about our frequency. And so a lot of times why like I felt like
Same.
we were kneeling to get out of the way of the transmission, to not
Same.
be, let it be filtered by
And
our
to
energetic aura.
respect people's connections straight directly with Sekhmet frequency and energy. And to literally, I felt like showing up in service to facilitate and transmit and hold the space. But I felt like this is not about us. Like,
Mm-mm.
literally, let me get out of the way to have you have your direct connection. And then I'll step in to help facilitate whatever that connection is and guide. But yeah,
Yes.
I felt the same way. And the feeling of needing to get down on one knee was so strong. I almost felt
So
like it
strong.
overcame my body. Like my body was like in Beetlejuice, where your body just goes down, because it was like, to respect, to honor, to
Yes.
give my reverence, and also to get the hell out of the way so that people could have a direct connection with Sekhmet. And for those of you who don't know, like goddess Sekhmet energy, she is the lioness. She is like this powerful, fierce, like protector. So a divine feminine mother energy, but think the mother bear that takes no shit from anyone and will stand for justice. And she's also a divine healer. Her presence is so nourishing, just like a mother. It is so healing. She can facilitate so much inner power and strength, but from this divine feminine energy. And her energy is very fiery. And all of Karnak, is very connected to like solar plexus, but we also said like ego, heart center kind of energy, and very fiery, very transformative, burning away disempowerment and rising into fierce, protective, healed, completely whole, loving, effortless, lovingly powerful
Yes.
energy, all of those things. And feeling her energy, like I just felt this, like the fire and the heat of transmutation and of transformation. I just felt so much fire and power and energy. And her energy is just like in that space, so powerful and so potent. I really feel like, once again, a divine portal that connects you to this timeless, like exalted space where transformation can happen so easily. Literally, you say the
So
intention, connect with that frequency of Sekhmet, and boom, like cosmic transmission, cosmic quantum moment of change.
yes. And I remember like, one of the groups that came in during the part where you know, we both just knew to like get out of the way and look away. Um, I looked at Sekhmet as I was like, okay, receive what you're meant to receive from Sekhmet, right? And I was, instead of looking at the ground, I chose to like look at her, and I literally heard clear as day, which this only happens to me in Egypt, hearing things so
On your
audibly.
Neptune line, aren't you on your Neptune line there?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes
Yes.
sense.
And and my moon line. Um, and so I heard in my head, like loud, like, avert your eyes, child. And I was like, oh, like immediately, like,
Sorry, ma'am.
holy shit. Like, yeah. So like, excuse me, pardon me.
Uh-huh.
And it was just so that's the energy there. It was like,
Yeah.
it's for each person to receive. And
Yeah.
her energy is so powerful. And so
Yes.
then we go out of this area, and we go to this area that one of our guests had requested our guide take us, that I hadn't been to before, called the Seven Gates, the Seven Doors. And this is so crazy. So I didn't know we were going to go to this area. And we it's like off the beaten path. You kind of have to walk a ways to get to it. And I'm like thinking to myself, because I forgot that she had asked our guide to go there and it wasn't part of our like ceremony plans, but our guide like took that as like direction, I guess, on like this is what we're doing, which I'm so glad he did. And so we're like walking and I'm like, where are we going? And we get there and it's like this small little like ruin of a chapel thing. I don't even know what it's called, temple.
Yeah.
Off to the
Open
side,
sky though.
open sky. Yeah. And Dana's like, is this where like the Holy of Holies, like where we're gonna do the rest of our ceremony? And I'm like, no, like this is I didn't know that this existed. Like this is something that, one of our guests, Natalie, shout out to you.
And the sun was starting to rise, the sky was starting to get light.
Yes. And so I'm like, okay, well, why don't we just play some music and we'll spend some time here? And there's a few places where people can like put their head on to like receive, transmissions. And there's one where there's like these keys of life, and then there's the seven doors. And when I went up to the seven doors, and first of all, just looking at it, I had this remembrance of I did this shaman experience with Axel, who was on our podcast. I did like a shaman guided uh healing with him. And in that experience, I had so many visuals, and one was of these seven doors, like as a portal. And that was what I
Wow.
ended my like experience with him. I was like, I'm seeing this, and he's like, oh, those are the seven doors. That's actually a portal bringing you to different dimensions, and like you're being called to
Wow.
explore different dimensions and like really like breaking down the matrix. And like I've heard this message a few times from a bunch of different healers and readers and everything. And so I was like, "Oh, interesting. Like I've never seen that before. That's that symbol. Like I need to look more into it." I didn't. I got busy with life and had a baby and all the things. Um,
But don't
but
you worry, life brought you right where you needed to be. Who needs
yes.
Google?
Who needs Google? Literally. And so I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is that symbol." So I put my third eye on these doors, and I instantly had this like flush of images and memories, and also like this pull. And I felt like if I just let myself go, like I would be pulled through, and like my body would pass out on the ground
Disappear on this
here.
realm.
Like my body
Wow.
would be out. Like if I could I could just let myself go and I would be gone, like literally gone. And but my body would still
Whoa.
be there, like passed out. And I had to like, it felt like a magnet, like pulling myself off of this thing. And I like put my hands on both sides and like pushed my third eye off of this thing, because I'm like, I can't, like, I'm holding space for 30 people. Like, I'm like, I can't let
I have
myself
to stay
just
here in
go.
this
Like,
realm.
I gotta
Yeah.
be here. And so I pulled myself off of this, and instantly, right when that happened, the like main guard for this whole thing, who's like running shit, he came over and he's like, you guys can't be playing music, like you have to like. And Mo came over, he's like, we gotta turn off the music, like we gotta go, like he doesn't like what we're doing here. And I was like, oh, okay, like we gotta go. And
Whoa, I
it
didn't know
was,
any of this.
I know, and it was
Well, I didn't know your
so,
experience.
yeah, it was so interesting. I was like, oh my gosh, like the energies of this realm were like literally keeping me here. Like I almost felt like it's like when you are in the matrix and you're breaking it, when like an agent comes up to be like, no, and put you back in your pod. Um I that's how I felt. I was like, okay, I'm here. I'm back. So how was that for you, the seven doors? Because we both went up to the
Whoa.
doors at the same time.
I felt nothing there. No, I felt nothing there. I was literally
Wow.
like, I was like, okay, like we're here for a long time. Like I was just holding for other people. And when that guard came, I literally thought it was because he could hear us playing music. Like I thought it was really beautiful and nice, but I felt literally zero connection to the space.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
insane. That's insane. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
if you're listening and you wanna see what that is, you can Google it and find images, of it, and it's crazy. Oh, I have chills talking about it. That's so
That is
insane.
so crazy to hear your experience. Yeah, I'm shook. I had no
Yeah,
idea.
Karnak was one of my favorite experiences of the whole trip because of the experience of Sekhmet and then the 7 doors, and then we go to the actual Holy of Holies, and we finish our ceremony there, and it was so cool, and we
So cool.
there's just so many things that we did that I won't get into, but,
Yeah.
um, it ended with us all touching this altar stone in the center, and, like, I'm leading the meditation, I'm holding Isla, she's, like, just now waking up and kind of sleepy. And I'm like, okay, let's all, like, when you're ready, reach out and like touch to receive from this altar stone and pour in our prayers. And Isla cries out, and I'm like very aware of like, I don't want Isla to like ruin the experience for anyone by making a bunch of noise or whatever. But she cries out with like a hey, like a, and I'm like, ooh, like attuned to her, like, oh my gosh, what does she need? And she's trying to turn to touch the stone with everybody else. And I'm like, oh, so then I turn her body and she reaches out like the slowest, most intentional hand. And she like places her whole palm on this stone. And then she looks up and looks around at everybody. And everybody just bursts into tears. Like it was
Yeah,
so
instant
instant. It was like her little
sobbing.
intuitive, she's so intuitive. It's
And connected,
incredible, so
and she
connected.
connected so much to everyone on the trip. I had so many moments where I just knew, like, on a higher level, hard to explain, but the feeling of, like, knowing that she was meant to be there, knowing that she's her path is a part of why we're there, like, and her connecting to everyone. She loved everyone there and, like, loved to look in their eyes, like, 'cause I was wondering, it's a lot of people for a baby to be around. How will it be? Will she, like, love some people and not love others, or will it be overwhelming to be around so many people? But I felt like she literally was like, "This is my family. We're all one." She felt everyone's pulse. She felt all of our intentions and literally sleepy, woke up in the morning, little tiny baby, and is like, "Oh, we're all doing this intentional ritual together. Like, okay, gotta turn around and be a part of it." She just felt it all. So
Felt
interconnected,
it.
so much
And
knowing.
I was keeping her from being able to reach. So she was like, "Excuse me," and then literally reached out and then held her hand on this stone. And
Yeah,
it was a moment in my life I will never, ever
same,
forget.
same.
As the sun was rising, and then we left this area and I continued nursing her, um, or I started nursing her then in that Holy of Holies once again. I got to nurse her in so many sacred sites, like in the most sacred place at that sacred site, and it was really cool. And then we went out to the sacred lake, and Dana sang and played music, and we all sang along with her, and it was just such a reverent, beautiful, beautiful moment.
Yeah, so special. I mean, and then it's like, "Okay, it's time to go." And you're like, "What?" Like, we just had this every single time that our time was over on our private visits with the temple, because you just went so deep. It was just like a moment out of time, then to be like the time coming back to reality and needing to go on the bus every time. It was like, "What? I can't go back into my human body in the human realm." But you did, and you
Yeah.
got back on the bus. We went on our
Which
way to the next thing.
a crazy thing is that, like, that guard that came out and was, like, shutting us down because, the private temple visits are supposed to be for, like, just a private group taking photos and having private time in the temples, like, not so much for ceremony, but I think that they also know that ceremony's happening, but it's kinda like, I don't know,
Gray area.
gray area, exactly. And so he was hanging around to make sure that we weren't doing anything before we got to that Holy of Holies area, and Mo's like, "I don't know if we're gonna get to do the ceremony there, like, we just gotta take pictures for a while and see if he, gets bored of us and then leaves." So we did, and then sure enough, he left, and I, like, see him walking away, like, his uniform and, everything I see it, like, literally felt like a Matrix, like,
Yes.
bot
That's
that
so crazy that you say that, because some of the pictures that we took during this trip, so, like, the energy in the temples, as I was saying, it feels like a different reality. It feels like the force field feels different than outside of the temple. And then a lot of the experiences that you have inside of it also feel otherworldly, or like maybe this different version of reality, this higher portal. And so some of the pictures that you take, there's these weird like distortions and illusions that happen in the picture. And like for some of the guards, when you zoom in on their faces in the picture, like, you weren't taking a picture of them, you're just taking a picture of the space and they just happened to be there. And then their face was all like pixelated outside of a normal, like it
Yeah.
literally looked like a Sims character on like a computer screen instead of like a regular
Yes.
photo,
So crazy. Like, what?
which
I've never seen a photo like that. Like, the
yeah,
photos
or
that we're
just
talking about, I've never seen something like that happen.
yeah,
So
wild.
bizarre. Even
And
somebody took a
and
photo of me doing Sekhmet, and I literally was doing Sekhmet,
like you had
in
like
the
a different
Sekhmet ceremony.
face.
I like shape shifted in that.
Yeah. And yeah, it's interesting the guards and the way that the temples are guarded. I want to say that this trip overall in general, absolutely 100% the highlight experience of my entire life, the highest highs I've ever experienced. And also, it's an intense place. The spirituality that we're talking about is very, very special, literally, maybe one of a kind on earth. I think there's other temples and places that are very powerful as well. But this point on earth and the history that's there, it is so absolutely special and otherworldly that there's just an intensity that's naturally there. And then also traveling through the modern day space with the guards and the buses, and all the guards are armed, and just there's a lot to process. You know what I mean? There's a lot of layers and a lot of polarity, a lot of duality, a lot of contrast. And like Shayna was saying, with the energy outside of the temples everywhere in Egypt, feeling like this accelerated testing zone, or like a place where all of your internal energy then gets externalized for you to interact with and be tested through, or navigate or see in a deeper way. Like all of that polarity and duality and intensity was also there as well. So it's like the highest of highs, and also like just the intensity on the other side of that. I don't know, that was a big theme that I walked through, and I felt, for me, it kind of brings me to the next thing, which is talking about the challenge on the trip in my personal experience. Like after this Karnak experience, we got onto the boat, and getting onto the boat was challenging because suddenly we're no longer in these five-star hotels that are like literally the most beautiful, gorgeous dream world with like farm to table and flowers and waterfalls and pools and waiters like and staff and giant beautiful dome ceilings that were like Moroccan palaces. And then we get onto a boat, and the boat on the Nile was also a luxury boat. It was the nicest boat I've ever been on by a landslide, with the nicest bathrooms and the nicest showers I've ever experienced on a boat. And I've done a lot of trips on boats. Yeah, I have. And so I thought it was really nice. But going from a five-star Moroccan looking palace like to a boat was a hard adjustment, and we're back into the land of the travel and getting challenged by whatever your expectations might be, or whatever is happening internally. Something physical will manifest for you to navigate it. So getting onto the boat was definitely an adjustment period. And in general, every time you're sleeping in a new place, you had to get your bags, all of them for 30 people, multiple bags on a bus, onto the boat in the heat. Like there's just a lot of navigation, just like when you're traveling normally, you're hot, you're tired, you're sweaty. Where are my bags? We're sleeping in a new place. How is my new room? Do I have everything I need? Which we do that in the beginning of every retreat we do one time when we get to our rooms once. We get our bags to our room once. We get adjusted and make sure everything's okay in everyone's room one time. We did this so many times on this trip. And one of them was getting onto a boat. So that energy, getting onto the boat, there was just a lot of wrinkles in the fabric that we had to iron out. Does everyone have what they need? Is this room like the wrong thing for this person? This room wasn't ready. They just painted in here and it's full. So we need to iron out all of these wrinkles. And there were just a lot of things that we had to adjust to make sure that it was right for everybody. And we were like sleep deprived. We had already woken up so early in the morning and had this intense temple experience, which you're dealing with such heightened spiritual energy that then traveling feels so much more challenging because you're tired and all of the things. And so for me, the polarity of the most incredible morning of my entire life. And then you're right back into the travel and the challenge of all of the things that I'm talking
Being
about.
in a physical body.
Yes, in a physical body in a different country, like you're moving your bags, it's hot, like all of the things. That polarity was such a powerful and interesting theme for me that kept coming up around the new paradigm, around the crumbling and how uncomfortable it is to see a society crumble and change and like the intensity of that and the fear around the unknown and the fear around things changing in a big way. And then at the same time, these heightened, expansive, the highest vibration we've ever experienced on planet Earth in a long time, right here at the same moment. Like, and getting comfortable, being okay with the polarization, with the duality, knowing that when we expand to higher heights, we have to root down deep. Literally, our phrase that we put on our pens for our gift bags on this one was the deeper you go, the higher you rise, which is a phrase that we've used a lot with DayLuna. That was so prevalent for me with the challenges of traveling and of being in a human body and of being in a new location in a new culture, all of that stuff. Like the deeper you go into and meet the tests or the challenges, the more you rise into this heightened spiritual bliss and connection to the divine. And it was just so clear to me that in order to navigate the new paradigm, we have to develop resiliency and strength and get rid of our fear of being uncomfortable. We have to embrace things as they come. And every time we do, the deeper we go in that, the higher we'll then get to rise. That was a theme that came over and over to me. And so the first night we get on the boat, there's all those wrinkles that we had to iron out. But soon after we got to do our first tea ceremony, we did a Blue Lotus tea ceremony on the top deck, looking over the Nile. And the Nile is incredible. One of the most special things I've ever seen. So rich and full. The water felt like you could feel these ancient codes and this life giving energy within it. The shores of the Nile were so lush and
Mm.
so green. And in a desert, in a really dry desert, and I live in a desert, but Egypt was a drier desert than where I live. So to be on the Nile and to see this like tropical jungle green on either sides, I mean, was just so magical. But also, of course, the Nile is like the center point for commerce, for ships coming out, for people trading things. So there's, a lot of energy. It's not a serene 5-star hotel in the countryside like where we came before. You're kind of in the mix there. But the first night that we got on there, we do this tea ceremony, Blue Lotus, working with that energy and opening our third eyes to our intuition, to the dream realm. And Lexa, who's on our team, hosted this tea ceremony for us, for all of our group that were able to attend, because some people decided to rest instead or needed to rest instead. And she gave out these bowls that all had different animals on them. And whatever bowl you got was an animal medicine for you to keep and take home with you on your path. And mine was a phoenix. And it was like, aha, sleeping phoenix, new paradigm. Like I had already been feeling all of these energies of Sekhmet, like this burning fire and like standing up for our empowerment, the world we're creating, not being afraid of the crumbling or the challenges that come, but like embracing that polarity so that we can really go deeper to rise. All of those things really had been encompassed to me with new paradigm phoenix energy. And then getting this bowl, and like all out of all of the different animals, me getting a phoenix. And I opened myself up to that dream work and that intuitive realm, like, okay, what is phoenix energy really meaning, and what is it, how is it here for me, and how is this medicine here to show me? And not that night, but actually the next night, I had a dream on the boat. Was literally, have I told you about this yet, Shayna? You haven't heard anything. Oh my gosh, this is so
No.
crazy. This is a key theme for me in my whole trip. One of my biggest moments that I will be connecting to for the rest of my life. This dream that I had after working with Blue Lotus and getting this Phoenix Cup. So I had this dream that I'm laying in my room on the boat, and in my sleep, I wake up as I'm dreaming and I'm like, I want to go out and look at the stars. I just feel this call. So I go out to a balcony and I'm looking up at the stars and I'm looking down at the Nile, and I can see all of these like thousands and thousands of wooden caskets that are like ancestors floating like a chain around on the Nile, and I could feel they had the most ancient, immortalized wisdom. It was so ancient. It was woven into the fabric of the Nile, like literally programmed into the Nile. And it was so powerful, it gave me chills. But right alongside that, I could see this like garbage floating in the Nile, like plastic water bottles, just like sewage or impurity or things like that, floating right next to this divine ancient web of like ancestors. And I was feeling torn in my heart about the polarity of that and there being like trash and floating water bottles in this sacred, ancient, life giving river. And my heart almost felt like it was breaking. I felt like I was in so much physical pain in my body. And then I hear this crackling like fire. And I look up out of the corner of my eye, and there is this giant fucking phoenix that is taking up the entire night sky over the stars, made out of flames, and its energy was so powerful to me. And it had these long tail feathers that were like made of fire. They were sweeping down, and as it was flying over the Nile River, and its tail feathers would sweep down and burn away impurities from the river. Like it would burn away the plastic garbage, or it would burn away whatever these impurities, but also like not just physical things, but impurities like fear and forgetfulness or violence, like things like that. And each time as its tail feather swept down, and it just completely purified, burned away these impurities. And every single time I watched it for a long time, I could see these ancient ancestors were completely unaffected by the fire. They were like eternal and like they weren't able to be touched by the flames. They were one with the flames, but all of the impurities or things that did not belong in that highest energy were getting purified. And I just watched this phoenix tail as it did it. I could feel the shift and the change and the release and the purification. And eventually I just felt like this whole river had been restored and all of the impurities had been transmuted through this phoenix. And in looking up into the phoenix, I could see in the center of its heart this like eternal flame that was different color than the rest of the flames. It was like a rainbow flame, like almost like a diamond where it had all colors. And I could feel this intense love that was so strong and so like powerful, fearless, and able, like ultimate power to purify and to alchemize and to transmute anything and to turn anything back into the highest love. And as I was focused on this flame, I literally woke up from my dream and I felt the flame inside my own chest so strongly. And I look over at Jared and I'm like, I woke up and he's like, with a flame in your chest. It's like, yes. He literally said that. I'm not joking. He's like, yeah, I can feel it. Legit. He said that. And I was like,
Oh my
and I
god.
sat and I sat up from my bed, and this flame was burning so strong in my chest, like almost I couldn't not keep my posture straight because it was so strong. And I woke up that morning like, okay, all of the polarity I was feeling and needing to iron things out on the boat, and my test that I was going through about surrendering to control, and all of the stuff that we're talking about, the challenges were just literally purified and gone and left inside of me. I felt this fire of just ancient knowing, of divine ancestral strength, of complete purity and power and love to transmute literally anything. And I got to carry that energy with me for the rest of the retreat and getting home. So I had my Dendera moment where I like shed this like homesick thing and I came into this like elated love and I felt so much lighter. And then I had this moment where I got this like eternal freaking phoenix flame inside my chest, and I've had to use it a lot since I've gotten home already. We've only been home for a couple of weeks. I've had to like do really challenging things with my family, confront things, take care of things, roll my sleeves up and just fucking make it happen and fearlessly transmute any discord, transmute any impurities, and come back to strength and love with like being completely unfazed by the challenge of it all.
I am blown away.
And then, sorry, last thing. The next day we wake up We go to Komombo, where I definitely died in a past life by getting eaten by an alligator. 100% died in a test there. And on the base of every single pillar in all of Komombo was the symbol of the phoenix on every single base of every single pillar in the entire front section. So this phoenix energy, like literally cleared me, purified me, restored me. I experienced it restoring the Nile right in time to go to this place where I had definitely died in a past life, like failed the initiation. And I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel afraid. I did feel a little bit of like reverence or like a somberness of just honoring the fact that I had died there, and that other people I knew and loved had as well. But the phoenix was literally all over that entire temple. And before that, I had only
Yeah.
seen one phoenix hieroglyph the entire time.
Wow. I am like, it's crazy because after, like, I'm now thinking about the timeline of the trip.
Yeah,
After you had that dream is when like literally all of the issues just like poof, like they never
disappeared
existed, like
totally.
gone. And
Yep. We ironed out we purified every
everything.
distraction or problem that wasn't in the highest timeline for us.
Literally. And it's
Yeah.
crazy because I kept thinking like when that was happening when we first got on the boat and like the next day, um, like why is this happening? Like what is like, cause it was all just such random things that were like
Th
silly,
They were physical, yeah, but there
physical
were so
things
many of them.
that were serious, but also silly. And I felt
Yeah.
like half of the people, it was like they were doing circles in their room and they were so happy and like, "Oh my gosh, this is incredible. I'm on the Nile. Like, I can't believe this is my life." And then the other literally like 50% were like, "Hold on, like this I thought it was going to be nicer. I thought that I was going to like does my toilet work? Like am I safe? Am I okay? Am I going to die?" And I literally it was like shocking because we had to like really hold on, let's reset our container. Like we have just been blasted through an amazing spiritual experience. And now we're in a new place. Like you said, we got to reset the container, like iron out the wrinkles, all of that stuff. And the amount of things that were just so randomly, I want to say going wrong.
Yeah.
Um, it was almost like I had to keep being like, why is this happening? Like this doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. Like a good example of this is, we're settling into our rooms and I just feel like I wanna go check on all of the rooms. Like, I just have a feeling like some people aren't feeling safe or grounded. Like, I wanna go around to each person's room and be like, "Hey, how are you feeling? What do you need? What needs to happen?" And then I start getting these messages like, "Hey, my toilet doesn't work. My toilet doesn't work. My toilet doesn't work." And I'm like, "Hold what?" And I go into our toilet to be like, "Does our toilet work?" And there's food in our toilet. And I'm like, "Oh my god, food is coming up through the pipes." Like through like, what? Like, old food is coming up through the pipes? Like, are we like, literally, are we gonna die? Like, what is happening? And so then I message Dana and Mo in the WhatsApp and I'm like, food is coming up through the pipes. Like, none of the toilets are working. Like, what's happening? And then I tell Brian and he's like, oh yeah, a bag of chips exploded in my bag and I put him in the toilet. And I was like, what the fuck
What?
said to Brian? I'm like, people's toilets aren't working. You're putting food in the toilet. Like, you can't make this shit up. So then I message them and I'm like, no, never mind. It's fine. Like, everything's okay. Like, our toilet is working. And it
Yeah.
was things like that that were just so random and silly, but serious. Like, if food was coming up through the toilets, like, that is serious. But also, like, it's so silly. Like, why in that moment did my husband put a bag of chips in the toilet?
Yeah.
And it was just, and then like also later that night, like they had to switch over. Well, as we're like, okay, miraculously all the toilets work now. They had to reset this thing and like toilets are fine because you're basically on a boat. You're like on a trailer on the water, right?
Right.
And so the toilets are then fine, get that message. And then I'm laying in bed, nursing Island. All of a sudden the power goes out on the boat. And I'm like, oh my God, are we gonna die? And then it comes back on like 30 seconds later. And I message Mo, like, what's our plan B? Like, what the actual fuck? And it's like, oh no, there's a second generator. They just switched it over, but the guys did it like slow, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it just took him a
And
second to turn on the generator.
exactly. But my point is that then, that never happened again. Like literally it was just
Yep.
that one night of
Yeah.
random
The first night.
things testing you to be like, you said you were going to surrender. Are you surrendered? You said that you were like safe within yourself. Are you? And I had these like so many times of feeling like I am safe because I am here, because I'm here. Like,
'Cause I'm me.
because I'm me. And I think that that's a huge theme moving into the new paradigm is like
Yes.
you're going to be have moments where you feel like am I safe? And fear
Right.
creeping in, fear of the future, fear of like the physical things that are changing in your life.
Like,
And
we're
it's like,
talking clean water, clean food, education for our kids, resources, housing, like physical human things. We're in the future, there's gonna be moments that we say, if I follow my dreams and I follow my highest path and I follow my dream life and my soul's path, will I be safe in those realms? That is gonna be a
yeah.
test that we'll
And
experience on different levels in different ways for different people.
I've literally said on past podcasts, like, the thing that makes you safe is you knowing who you are and you knowing how to use your authority. That is
Yeah.
your grounding, solid foundation. And
And knowing
feeling,
how And knowing how to transmute, knowing how to take anything with full acceptance and alchemize it into something that is going to empower you and put you into love instead of fear.
yes. And literally feeling that then get tested in real time to be like, when I am present, I always know what to do because I'm me and
Yeah.
I know who I am and I know how to do what's right for me and I know how to listen. And a big theme on this trip was identifying what is worth fighting for. Like,
Yeah.
what is the empowerment piece? Like, I am empowered to speak my truth and to honor my worth and to advocate for myself and to declare what I want and what I deserve in life. That's Sekhmet energy. And
Yeah.
also, I'm fully surrendered to the flow of life and to to receiving and to having activations and to releasing control. Like that polarity between those two things was so highlighted in so many different moments where, like, even just the cultural differences of,
Yeah.
the Egyptian people being so welcoming and loving and nurturing, like they love kids. And that
Mm-hmm.
was an
They love
amazing part of my experience.
entertaining. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
having Isla there and having everybody wanna hold her and, like, Brian and I got to eat at the same time for the first time on this trip because we went to this family's home and we had lunch there, and the wives came and picked up Isla and brought her over to the other kids, and it was so amazing. And then also the being faced with the strict rules and, like, not questioning authority and the differences in our culture of
Modesty,
like, yeah, modesty, but
female energy and
also,
male energy.
yeah, exactly. And the rigidness of like of and the seriousness at which certain things that you say are taken that are not taken that seriously where we come from. And that polarity of like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm needing to be more firm in how I am directing my feminine power to assert the fact that this feminine energy belongs here, and also be open and receptive and loving and connected. And so those themes were huge, but I definitely noticed it in more of a like muck of living way
Yeah.
with the boat. And so it's really interesting how I fell on the side of the people that was like, "Am I okay? Am I gonna die?" You fell on the side of like doing spins in your room. This is the nicest boat I've ever been on. And like
Yeah.
that's amazing because we always are holding down the polarity to really see what people's experiences are.
But I also was really having a challenge on that first day for other reasons. Like one of the things didn't even say yet was like we did sleep in different rooms in this retreat for our first time ever, and we sleep in the same bed in the same room, and it's our time to like reestablish our container every night where we sleep together and we talk about the day and the energy and what's needed and like all of this stuff, and we get to like regroup and recap and come together every night. And we didn't get to do that on this retreat, which I knew we coming into it that we wouldn't. Like, okay, it's a different retreat. Isla's here, Ryan's here, Jared's here, like Shayna's in her room with her family, and I'm in my room with my family, and like this is all good. But that moment on the boat, I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this change. I need to be in the room with Shayna right now. This is me and her. Like, we need to fix this. Like, where the fuck is she? Like, I was feeling like so resistant to where we were at. So I had my own challenges, but they weren't about the boat. They were other things. And
That's
then
so
that night,
interesting.
it was like, just burn away, purify that resistance to what is because you're here now. and you have the ultimate love and the ultimate empowerment and the ultimate ability to make a change and be strong enough to literally accomplish anything and transform anything and heal anything in your life and
Yeah.
the lives of people you're connected to. But it was just that moment. That was like our little peak moment. Like, at least for me, where like the challenges started adding up. And then we had this huge, like, transformative, in my experience, I had this huge transformative
Yeah.
moment that I feel like it did reset a lot.
It it did because literally, like, that from that night that you had that dream, like, all of those issues were gone. Like, toilets were not even
Gone.
a thing that people even thought about. Like,
Yeah.
literally
For the rest of the time on
yeah,
the
like,
boat.
every single issue that was like, "Oh my gosh, is this gonna be an issue?" Like, literally gone.
Yeah.
And we got to drop into, like, some of the most of my favorite moments from this trip were on those boats.
Same. Because it
And
was so, we were so connected as a family and as a group and
yeah, it
watching the
felt like being in
sunset.
dorms where, like, you could just pop
Yeah, it
out
felt
and
like summer
see
camp.
whoever and, like yeah, summer camp. That's such a good way to put it.
And be up on the top roof, like looking at the water, looking at the sunrise, journaling, integrating. We finally had time to integrate some of the powerful experiences because the first few days were so go, go, go. We were doing several temples in one day, having these incredible peak experiences. That's like, we don't even have time to integrate this. So the boat was finally that time to drop in into ourselves as a family. It was so beautiful.
Yes. And for me, the Nile was a physical initiation, like
Mm.
physical body initiation, and, really taking me through some of my fears and also, um, purging from my body what this last, like, year like, I've been saying on the podcast, so much of motherhood and having a baby and postpartum has really taught me a lot of lessons around having a physical body, and I'm struggling with that, and, um, it's been a huge, hard journey for me, and so this trip in Egypt, like, it started when we were at Al Mudeira, the first magical hotel. I'm laying there nursing Isla always. I'm always nursing Isla. And,
Every half hour and a half, baby.
yeah, and I'm, like, laying there and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm getting bit." And mind you, like, the day before, my throat thing happened, right? And then I'm like, "Brian, am I getting bit?" And I'm in the dark and there's a mosquito and it bit me 13 times on my body. And
Which
I'm
is a
like
sacred number.
I'm like, "Okay, cool, cool, cool." Like, gonna pretend that I'm not itchy to bits. And I'm, just gonna let that go and just be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's been a huge theme
Yeah.
since being pregnant and having a baby. Being comfortable
Mhm.
being uncomfortable. And it was amplified on this trip in certain ways. Other ways it wasn't. Like it was like I was saying that duality of the spirit versus the physical. Um but then so I have these bug bites, right? And I feel like past Shayna, not holding space Shayna would have been like so pissed about these bug bites. And I really wasn't. Like I was like unbothered queen, like I said in the beginning. And so I get onto the boat and we have all these things that we're talking about and then we work through them and it's fine. And then it's the tea ceremony night and I have all these plans to go. And Isla's just so upset. She's so upset. I don't know what's wrong. And I think that she's teething. So finally, I'm like, okay, let's just take her temperature just to rule that out. Because every time that I've ever taken her temperature since she's been born, it's like always been fine and normal. And then I'm always like, I didn't need to take her temperature. Like, I should know that when I think I need to take her temperature, she's fine. And so we take it just in case. And she has 102.7 fever. And I'm like, it's that moment where like you feel like the world rushes in and you're like, holy shit. Like my child has never been sick before. And I've never been a mom before of a sick child. Like this is a whole new physical experience. And like, I'm like, oh my God, is my child safe? Like, is she okay? Are we okay? Like, we are not going to this tea ceremony. And then she literally, like, I lay her on the bed to get her undressed. And like, all of a sudden she starts like gagging. She's going to barf right then and there. And we get like a bowl and my little angel barfs into a bowl and like such a little adult.
Welcome to a human journey.
Yes, and me, Brian, my mother-in-law, Roxy, and Chrissy were all in my room, and, we're like Brian's holding her forehead and her chin, or no, he's holding her body. I'm holding her forehead and her chin. And I'm like trying to help her barf because she doesn't know how to barf, like, and get it out. And like, she's like looking up at me and then looking to Brian and then looking to Roxy and looking to her auntie Cece. And she's like, tears are streaming and she's so scared and confused. Like, what is happening? Like, this hurts. Like, what is happening? And she's also having diarrhea. And I'm like, I wanna just, like, instantly, like, break down sobbing, crying, and I, like, have to turn away so she doesn't see my face to, like, pull myself together because I had this moment of, like, she needs me to be strong for her. Like, she does not need to see me breaking down crying, like, she's looking to me for reassurance, like, I need to give her that. And so I'm like, pull my panic attack together and I'm like, okay, like I've got you. I'm here. Like, you're okay. Like, staring into her eyes, like we're okay. And I'm literally thinking in my head, like, are we okay? And I'm so she's barfing, and so we get her in bed and we have her sleep in between us. That way we can pay attention to, like, if she's gonna throw up, we can like turn her over, help her get that out. And she's burning up. I give her baby Tylenol and I call her doctor before we get in bed. And the service isn't great. And I'm like, "Hey, this is what's happening." And she's like, "Okay, if her fever gets up to like near 104-ish, like you have to go to a doctor." And I'm like, "I am on the Nile. Like, I'm floating down the river on the Nile. Like, I can't even see roads. Like, there's no doctor." And she's like, "What?" And it's like breaking up. I'm like, "I'm on the Nile." And she's like, "I'm sorry, what?" Like, "I'm in Egypt on the Nile. I'm not going to a doctor." And she was like, "Oh my God." Okay, that's
Oh, well,
insane.
in that case,
She's like, "Okay, don't give her Motrin, baby Motrin, because her stomach's upset. Give her baby Tylenol. Like, she's gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine." Like, holy fucking shit. This is crazy. And also, like, just focus on rest. Like, it's okay. So I'm like, okay. So we have that night, and it's a really bonding night between me, Brian, and Isla. Like, she's in between us, and she's so sick, and we're scared new time parents, and like we're not sleeping, and she's like having fitful sleep. But it was like so like, that sounds awful, but it was honestly, like, a moment that I'll remember the rest of my life because it was just so bonding and so,
mm,
like, we just all felt so close and, like,
your
so
strength
present.
together, being there for
Yeah,
each other. Yeah.
exactly, and, like, all of the issues on the boat were, like, just fading away, and, like, I was the timing of it was, like, we didn't have any ceremonies that we needed to both be a part of and or any private temple visits, like, I could really
Mm,
just, like, trust that,
rest
like,
with her.
the group is okay, everyone's
Mm,
fine, and I need to just be here for my daughter. And I definitely had a moment of like, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, so many people were like, "You're bringing your 8-month-old to Egypt? Are you crazy?" And I was like, "No, you're crazy. Like, of course I'm gonna bring her. It's fine." And it was totally magical and amazing. And now I feel like I can literally do anything with her. Like, I'm not afraid of bringing her anywhere. I feel so liberated and free because we did this experience with her. But there was a moment of like, "Oh my God, like, did I endanger my child?" And I don't know why she got sick. I think it was a stomach thing that she got. Maybe bathwater got in her mouth. I don't know. Um, but she was going through it for about 2 days. And, like, the whole next day, she slept all day long, and then the day after that, she was just so tired, and it was the cutest little saddest thing you've ever seen. Everyone
yeah,
was like, "Oh, little baby," and I
she
had to
was
miss
so
a
cute.
temple, and I was totally okay with that, and meanwhile, it's just getting hotter and hotter and hotter outside. The next day, she has 103.5-degree fever, the day that she slept all day, and I'm like, that's 104-ish. Like, are we gonna have to seek out a doctor? And I am like, you know what? Let me just go upstairs. Everybody else is at a temple. And I think a few people stayed behind, like, "Let me just go up and see how the vibe is on the boat and who's here." And one of the people who was there was Scarlett, who does energy healings, and so she comes and she's like, "Can I help, like, heal and do a healing on Isla?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it, like, let's go." And so she comes and she does a healing, and literally after that session, like, 10 minutes after she left our room, Isla's fever had gone down, like, a degree. And I was like, "Okay,
Wow.
we're okay.
We're back on
We've got
track.
everything we need here. We're fine." And then she, you had that dream that day. Isla
Yeah.
then was on the up and up. Everything's fine. And before we got off the boat, like Isla was back to 100% operating. Like she still wasn't eating that much, but she was like back to her normal little happy, want to crawl all over the place. Well, try to crawl um place. So the Nile for me was just such a like I felt like going down the physical body
Mm,
initiation,
yeah.
and I have never been so physically, like, fucked. Other than
Tested.
tested, other than giving birth. Like, literally, like,
Yeah.
because in this whole process, you have to remember, like, Isla's super sick, my throat is itchy, and I'm coughing, and it feels like it's closing up. I have 13 bug bites that are, like, itching out of their fucking minds, and then I'm like, "Are people gonna be able to poop? Like, can they flush the toilet?" Like, there's just
Are
so
there
like
chips in our toilet?
yeah, so it was just so intense, the intensity was
Yeah, it was
insane.
intense.
And I just kept hearing, like, "You said surrender." Like, that was your intention. Surrender, surrender.
Mm.
Can you surrender to what is?
Yeah,
And I did. And I feel like I really got so it's like I got so much out of it. So while I
yeah.
missed, like, the dancing night, that was so amazing for everyone, like and while I missed, Edfu Temple, which was so amazing for everyone, um, I had some moments with my little family that I think I wouldn't trade for anything.
Totally, and I think coming home, you guys are on a you and Brian and Isla are on a completely different level in a completely different place than you were before. You guys are so empowered to like really continue to live your dream life, even with having a daughter. Whereas before it's like, can it be one or it doesn't have to be one or the other, having a daughter or my dream life.
Yes.
Those question was there. You know what I mean? And then after that experience, it's like that question is blown out of the water and purified into you can do literally
Oh,
anything you want with love, with strength, with community. Like
yes.
this is something that we haven't even talked about yet, but I came home being like, when are we starting an intentional community? And how come we don't live with all of our favorite people all the time and have every single meal communal? Because there's just these moments where there's these powerful, powerful women or people in this group with us, and they are your medicine that you need in that moment. Like you have everything you need inside of you, and you have divine forces guiding you, and you have friends, family, soul family that can step in and give you support, and they have a gift that you need, or you have a gift that they need, or they give you a conversation that helped you completely process something that you were trying to process. Like I just felt so many times that the people on this trip were such a gift to me and to each other in the perfect timing, in the perfect moment, and that our love and our togetherness, once again thinking of new paradigm, like our uniqueness but then coming together in community, is what makes us so strong. What we are always held, even though we can be there for ourselves, we also have this external, these people that are there for us, that are seeing our paths, that are sharing their gifts. And that was a huge theme for me, like learning so much from one thing one person said, or one conversation I had with this person, or one gift that this person shared. Or like we've already given examples in this talk so far about one person suggested this thing and it ended up being something that changed your path. Or like our interconnectedness, our interdependence is part of our strength, and we can be unique and different and completely self-sufficient and completely self-realized, and we can have that community container. That was a huge theme for me, like getting to be on this journey that was so powerful and literally life-changing and initiating in all of the ways, but together. and with one another, like coming home from that, I felt like I was floating on a freaking cloud. And so did Jared. So did everyone that I've talked to.
Yeah.
Like just our love between each other and our being there for each other. And we say this with every retreat, but this was definitely a theme in this one too, is like we have this fear conditioned into us societally that if we're all unique and living as our true own authority, that we'll have chaos. And the opposite is true. You get to see in real time what the new paradigm energy is, what this rising phoenix energy is, of us all getting to be uniqueness and follow our own authorities and be on our own journeys and be our own uniqueness, and the incredible love, the profound love and unity and interdependence that that creates. Like it was just completely palpable on this trip. And so like even you and I, like being, this is our first retreat where we've ever had so much of our own unique journeys. Like I told my version of those days on the boat, and then you tell your version of those days on the boat, but still like our interconnectedness and our wholeness within each other and the harmony of that. Like it just shows you that you can let people live their own life so fully and still have wholeness and love and connectedness and family energy. That was a huge theme for me. And coming home, like you're feeling like you want to travel more, you want to travel in Europe with your family, like you can do anything. We're also feeling like we need more retreats. We need even more retreats because this energy and this magic is so important. And it does open a portal into the new earth that we're building when we get to be in these spaces together. Like, and I've been thinking so much about literally creating an intentional community. What does it take? I've been having conversations around it, reading more about it. Plus, like getting home from Egypt, learning about, Sekhmet energy and Horus energy and all of that stuff. We've just been ferociously studying from the second we got home. Like, it's not like our Egypt energy is satisfied, like we've satisfied the craving. It's instead just opened up an endless fascination, curiosity, and love for me that I feel like will literally be here for the rest of my life.
Same, same. And I think that so many everyone that I've talked to from the retreat, that's been the theme of like you can't plan for the initiations that you're going to get and the
Yeah.
activations that you're going to get and the amplification of like a new chapter that you're going to receive. You can't plan for it. You just have to show
Yeah.
up and meet it, and it's the exact medicine that you needed. And I'm so grateful, like beyond grateful, and the strength and resiliency and um the confidence and the love and the excitement that I have for this new chapter. I'm just so freaking lit up. I think we're going to need to have a part 2 of this
Definitely.
podcast because we haven't even gotten into Philae, Isis's temple. We haven't gotten into the Great Pyramid.
Or
Um,
the Sphinx.
or the Sphinx. Oh my God. We haven't
Oh
gotten
my
into
gosh.
Saqqara. Like there's so much that happened after on the second leg of this journey. Like after we ended the boat, we have a night of dancing that is amazing and so fun and so connective, I want to say. And then we get to Aswan, where the root chakra, and it's oh, some of my favorite parts of the journey are there too. So we just have so much more that we want to share, but we're going to come back for part 2 to record that and share that with you, hopefully really soon. Um, but I do want to just leave you with like this new paradigm and the way things are shifting, where we're heading. Um, Gathering in person and connecting in person is going to be more needed, more valued, more opportunities for that to come in. And I'm really here for it. So I'm excited to
Same.
be leading in this way with retreats, but also learning in this way. I'm diving into courses. I came back like ravenous for information. I'm taking like AI
Same.
courses because I think AI is a huge part of this new paradigm and giving us all opportunities to focus on more in-person connective intentions.
And to work less and have more freedom. Freedom is a huge word that came up for us, a huge intention we brought into Egypt, a huge thing that we felt like in order to create this new world in the highest expression, we need to be free. and free to then value the things that we love, like traveling, like seeing the world, like singing together, like eating dinners together, connecting in spaces outside of productivity and capitalism and like all of that. So it's like we are so freaking fired up about okay, what do we need to do in order to create the best possible outcome or to help co create that? And what are the tools? What are the resources? How can we help? How can we show the fuck up for this? Where does human design play a role in it? Like, I feel like we came home with so much fire and the freedom aspect. Like, literally, we came home and started a new cohort of Kiss Goodbye 9 to 5, which we're in right now with our group because we were just feeling like the world needs to be free. Everyone needs to be living their uniqueness. Everyone needs to have the space to actually live their dream life and to not live under the fear of capitalism, under the fear of providing for ourselves. And like, so we already have programs that we're just like feeling so fired up about. And we're getting really excited for the things that we want to create in the future because it's just feeling so clear. And like for me, eternal phoenix heart flame inside my chest, just burning to purify and transmute any fear or resistance and to just completely come into our highest expression of love and power. So
Yes.
I'm just really excited for everything like the next chapter. And I feel like we've been in a era before you got pregnant, even of like we're closing the chapter on the first section of DayLuna and we know we're transitioning into a new chapter, but what is it? And it's taken time for that unfolding, but I definitely feel like this trip has initiated us like we're finally here. We have so much
Yes.
inspiration and power and fire behind us, Sekhmet energy, Phoenix energy to just take that forward.
Yes, and more transmissions to share with you. I'm like, I want to share it all,
Yeah,
but
same.
I don't want to rush it. So hopefully, some of the things that we shared here have planted seeds and resonated with your own journey and where you are right now, and reminded you of your safety within yourself, reminded you of this next chapter and choosing to walk through, choosing to show up for yourself, choosing to to experience the magic that is all around us all the time. Being a dive in bitch, like you get a lot of juice out of that. And yeah, I'm just really, really excited for the future. And I'm excited
Yeah.
for our rising. And I'm grateful for that Phoenix tail feather lighting my ass up, burning things away that don't serve me. I'm really, really grateful. So, as usual, you know where you can connect with us on our website, daylunalife.com, on Instagram at dayluna, and stay tuned for more the rest of this story, but also for more retreats, more ways to connect in
New
person.
new offerings we're really wanting like getting so excited to share soon because we're just feeling like the time is here and we're ready for everyone in our community to experience the same level of passion, love, knowing yourself, being grounded in that safety internally so that you can express yourself even more fully and share that love. Like we're feeling like a lot is coming through us. So stay tuned for all of that. We're excited to be on this journey with you. Thank you so much for listening, whether you came on the retreat or whether you're listening to this. We are in this experience together and we have so much love inside of us for everyone on this journey together. We want to thank you from the bottom of your heart, of our hearts, for being here together. So, thank you for listening. Hope you have an expansive rest of your day and stay tuned for part 2 and all of the new stuff that we have coming out in the coming year ahead.
Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to follow along and learn more about human design.